Let's see, I'm Vince Fisher. I know a few of you. I don't. Apologize for being late.
Vince, this is Commissioner Joey Maddox.
Pleased to meet you.
You know Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
This is Commissioner
Chad Britton.
Chad Britton. You know Jeff and Mr. Klontz.
Yes, sir.
And I talk to you from time to time, so I think you know who I am.
Is there anything you
MS
guys know?
four is municipal small separate storm sewer system.
Now what?
It's municipal separate storm sewer system.
MS4.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The reason I asked to meet with you, the MS4 program Hawkins County is part of is because Kingsport urbanized area reaches out to Mount Carmel, Churchill, and out into the county beyond those city limits. It covers less than 20 square miles. I think I provided you all a map of the urbanized area. And the county resolution, which establishes the stormwater regulations, states that the stormwater program will be limited to the urbanized area only. So my jurisdiction is limited to that area. Occasionally I get calls and I try to answer the citizens' questions. Mostly it's construction, mud getting on the street or getting on their properties. And I refer them to TDEC, unless they're in the urbanized area. If they're in the urbanized area, it's my jurisdiction, and I do what I can daily.
And which color is on this map, Mr. Vince?
You get my copy, and I hope I got copies when I get this.
Yeah, that's it.
Everything attached is the urbanized area. But if you look down at the bottom, the left corner, the brownish area is Churchill. So Churchill has jurisdiction, even though it's hashtag, it's in Churchill. It's areas that's hashtag that's not the blue, both blue, dark and light blues, and then the green and the brown. So we got, you can see this goes in and out. And, not a lot of construction going on. All we've had in this program was established in 2003, and I was hired, I think, in 05 or 06. And we've had one permit, a Dollar General built on Carter's Valley Road. And it was more than an acre that they disturbed, so they got a permit.
That's
We
what
did
you
look
go
at
out and you look at it and
Yes.
you do the permit.
I issue the permit after review and approval by the planning commission. They have to get an engineered set of plans. The specifications on what has to be in those plans. And if it's a simple one, I can look at it, but I have to get an engineer to sign off. I'm not an engineer, it requires an engineer or a landscape architect or someone that's been through TDEC's level 4 course, level 2 course. And I have tried to go through that course, and it's got so much engineering in it, I can't pass their exams. So the one we had, I don't recall the engineer, but we had an engineer review it for the Dollar General. That's the present we got. TDEC came out with a new permit effective 1st September. We have to submit a new notice of intent to comply by the end of November. And we also have to submit with that a permanent stormwater implementation plan. The permanent section, permanent stormwater pertains to what happens after a Dollar General's built. You got grass and concrete, subdivision, you got houses, streets, no longer got mud, but afterward, TDEC wants it monitored. The EPA wants it monitored. They came up with a program in 16 that was very very strenuous. The Home Builders Association sued him, said you're requiring too much. Sierra Club type organization sued and said it's not stringent enough. They finally got arbitration and got it settled, I think last year, may have been 2 years ago. And to where they finally come out and issued it. During that time, their rules were held in abeyance. And now they got a settlement that came out with a new permit. The Green Coalition has sued them again and said it's still not strong enough. I don't know if the home builders came in or not, but they're going ahead with the permit. Some of the things we got to ask the developers of a new subdivision or a commercial project. They've got to, every 5 years, they've got to do certain monitoring, give us a copy of the report. They've got to make sure that their total suspended solids is less than. And there's terms in there that's engineering terms that, quite frankly, I don't understand. So with that implementation plan, I'll go over why it won't take 2 years to implement that part of it. Y'all got any questions?
During one of our previous meetings, Mr. Vince, I might be wrong on this, but you mentioned Herb Road, you was monitoring it, something was going on with it. Was it Herb Road?
Well, Herb Road's got the headwaters of Alexander Creek, and we monitor Alexander Creek for E-coli. That's part of the permit requirement, but it's not covered in this document I'm discussing right now.
Is everything good on that?
We've got 3 streams in the urbanized area. Alexander Creek, that finger that goes back up to Herb Road, down from the school, Carter Valley School, goes back, meanders back up through there. Smith Creek, which is it's a ditch line branch, side Lloyd Chapel Road, gets bigger as it gets down in Churchill. And Herb Creek, all 3 of them are contaminated for E. coli. My sampling shows that it is contaminated. Contamination for E. coli is generally caused by human activities, filling septics, agriculture activity, or wildlife activity. All we're required to do is do the sampling, which I finished on Smith Creek earlier this year. It does confirm we still have an E. coli problem. And it's up to TDEC to come up with a cure. We're not allowed to do anything as far as agriculture and septic permits are issued by TDEC. So there's very little we can do as a county.
How long does it take for TDEC to come up with a solution for public safety to get this fixed?
They've known about it for, I think I did my first sampling in 2006, and in that period when it started, I've been in my 3rd sampling.
And it's still contaminated?
Yes, sir. The Holston River, from this point down to Cherokee and Cherokee Lake, are also contaminated for excessive E. coli. And it's up to TDEC to come up with the solutions. Take a lot of money to serve all these little communities in the county. And that's probably what it will take. Fence in agriculture where cattle can't get in the creek. And that's, once again, that's money. It's something we don't have control of. The MS4 program specifically excludes agriculture. We can go to the AG agent. If the farm's getting excessive mud on the street or something like that, the AG agents will help us go. They'll go, if they have the funds, they'll do a grant to keep cattle out the street, come up with some other way to do it. Any other questions, comments? What I asked you to look at today is, as I said earlier, we've got a notice of intent with we have to file at the end of November. I've got a draft of that, second enclosure there. I mean, this format is specified by TDEC. The first page, at the very top of the page, says NPDES small ms square NOI. The first page is administrative, county, urbanized area, what have you. It does bring us to a question, down there where it says county government, indicate whether or not you want to represent the entire county or the urbanized area. The present resolution specifies the program applies only to the urbanized area of the county. The commission does have the option of applying it to the whole county. We'd have to change the resolution, and we'd have to indicate on this submittal what we're doing. So I would suggest that you be cautious of doing that. It would likely take at least one full-time, maybe two full-time employees. And every inch of every stream in the county would have to be mapped, looking for places of runoff. This area, this urbanized area, now the map, you got the engineering firm Tysinger mapped back in the early 2000s, 2004 or 5, I'm not sure when. I think they had the map, I think, when I started. But it was, for that small area, it was around $20,000 in 03 dollars. If you had to map the whole county, I would suggest you're looking at probably close to $1 million. I would suggest that you probably want to leave it to the urbanized area only. But that is one thing that you'll need to let me know if you want me to change the report. Say we're going to the whole county and take it to the county patient and see. The rest of it is administrative. On page 1 is administrative. Page 2 is administrative, gives the name of the mayor and his data, mailing address, email address, my information. And down at the bottom, description of the storm and sewer system. They want the system to be a PDF type file, GISPAD, whatever that is. And I checked with the assessor's office, and Ms. Leans over there advised me that if I wanted to, they couldn't maintain it for us. That if I wanted to go into that to mechanize it, the software license was over $30,000 a year. So I've got a marked up paper map. Well, no, this has got some, the engineering firm put dots on it. And I plan to stonewall TDEC as long as I can. We don't have the money. Or, we don't have an engineering technician. I don't know how to do that. I could probably learn, but.
Well, it's not needed either.
I don't think we need it. I don't use that map. Someone called and wanted to know what this washing machine drain, I'd look and see if it was there. And tell them what we did with it and when we did it. But that I plan to leave paper and mail them a copy of that report. Or that map, not report. Next page, summary of receiving streams. We've got Alex, Howard, Smith Creek, and the Holston River. Is where our runoff goes to up in the urbanized area. And that chart down there is all the top of the chart, receiving water, number of outfalls, etc. printed by TDEC, and that's our responses. Holston River in the upper area does not have E-coli contaminant. It picks up, I think, south of Churchill. Next is minimum control measure one, TDEC has established, or I think the has established 6 minimum control measures for the MS sport program. First is public education outreach, and then you see that chart below. The 2 left columns, target audience management measure. Those are on the form, TDEC put those in. The third column, delivery method / materials, is the column we fill out on how we're going to do what they want us to do. And the fourth column, MS4 is responsible. I can't fill that out because we don't cooperate with or be in partnership with Mount Carmel or Churchill as far as this program goes. We thought about doing it, but when you read the fine print of TDEC's permit, if we partnered with Mount Carmel, I work for both, and we said, Mount Carmel, you'll do this, and this. And we get a letter from TDEC in a year or two, you haven't been doing this, and they give us a notice of violation. We don't see any benefit to having a partnership. Mount Carmel's got its own way of doing things, and the county has theirs. But going down to that first target audience, the general public, they want us to make sure that the public's aware of the impacts on water quality if they pollute. And delivery method, we're going to make the public aware of that. Website, have display festivals. Tennessee Stormwater Association, of which we're a member, puts information on social media, Twitter and Facebook. And the slice, the way we'll present that's brochures, flyers, printed, and verbal information. And the second one is about the same thing. Through this whole thing, MCM2 also public involvement participation. We go into the same thing. I try to keep it as vague as possible. They can come back and say you're not specific enough and make us add to it. But what we've got there, I found from previous inspections, and they inspect us twice every 5 years. One a full-fledged inspection, another a mini inspection, which we had a few weeks ago. What I've got there, if we're not doing it, then Vince, you said you was going to do this, why aren't you doing it? So I try to keep this as broad as I can, not get into more specifics than I have to.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
As far as the county standpoint, are we just responsible for what's outside of the city limits and then the city maintains their
Yes,
side of it?
Yes, sir, and the same thing for Holston Army Ammunition Plant.
Good question.
HAAP is also on MS4.
Right, so if that industrial park up there does go through, then Keyport, Holston Army Ammunition Plant will be responsible for making sure.
And part of it's in Mount Carmel city limits, I don't know how, that's probably gonna come out of Mount Carmel city limits. Don't know that.
Actually, I think Mount Carmel city limits is on the other side.
Yeah, it didn't go to the Holston Army Ammunition Plant side of Portland.
Portion of it would be Kingsport, portion of it would be Hawkins County.
I've got some additional information. But any questions on MCM1 and MCM2? Public education and public, I'll go back to public involvement. We got on the website that we're updating the program. Citizens are invited to participate. And that's been on the site for close to a month, hasn't it, sir? No one's called, no one's emailed. Through the life of this permit, I've had many public meetings announced in the newspaper, on the website, and no participation. Had one guy wander into one meeting, I'm sitting there reading the book, and I seen this in the newspaper, what's it all about? So he and I chit-chatted for a half hour.
You serve refreshments and they'll come.
Non-alcoholic. But we do try to get people to involve. As I have told people from PDEC and EPA, in my opinion, when you got mud in your backyard or a subdivision backyard messing things up, you'll become involved. You say put it on the website. I don't look at Hawkins County website unless I need some information. You know, who's on the ballot? Look at the election office. That, and they won't accept it. But so we got, as I told them, we have a paper program. We've not issued any permits. If we issue or have someone that wants to do a development, we know what to do. MCM 3 is illicit discharge detection and elimination. The first question, do we have an ordinance or regulatory mechanism? And the answer is no. We have one, but it don't comply with the new permit. And the class they gave us on how to fill this out is you put down no and then you explain or we'll update our current regulation. And question 2 is similar. We do have a plan. It's not current, so they want us to say we're going to update it. And I've got two other formal plans, the public information and education plan, and a stormwater management program that I'm putting together that also have to invite the public to participate. Any questions on MCM 3?
Do you plan on updating these that you don't have current plans on?
I do have plans, but they're not in compliance with the new permit.
Okay.
And I am writing new ones, yes, sir. Pardon me. MCM 4, construction site stormwater runoff control. Question 1. Will we comply? We got it under development. The deadline to have it completed is the 1st of September 24, so we'll have it done the end of August 24. And as I said, I'm not adding anything that they don't say we have to do. I try to cover everything they say that we have to do, but I don't want to obligate the county to doing something extra unless they'll get this and they got the right to review it and come back and say, you need to change X, Y, and Z. At that time, we'll address what they tell us to address. I will say that we did 2 permit renewals since I've been involved, and they've never said a word. They've never had anything. But they've got a new person in charge and they changed. So is there any questions on the construction? MCM 5 is post-construction permanent stormwater management. This is the one where they've had the suits and they've been held up for 5 years. We've got to have it implemented. They'd like to have it implemented within 12 months. And they give us up to 24 months. And we've got to give them a plan and a reason for why it's going to take more than 12 months. And under development, I tell them we'll have it done by the end of August 24, which is the last, as long as we can take. And our program don't meet current requirements. It meets the requirements of the permit that they just replaced. We got it. Well, this part of it, we got to do a lot of work. It's got things in it, as I told you before, that I'm going to have to ask the commission in the budget process, the budget committee, for extra money. We need help from a design professional engineer that can guide us as to what has to be done the simplest way. If not, we can take the language from the permit and put it in our program, but as I told the people in Mount Carmel last night, if someone came to me and asked, how do you measure total suspended solids? I don't know. That's the type question. For the construction site, they snuck in my opinion, they snuck it in. If you got, in this region, we got a lot of clay. And when you got rainwater running over clay, it brings that orangish yellow color with it. And when it comes out to the stream, downstream where it intercepts, the water turns that color. Not with this new permit. That's one of the requirements that we're going to have to require the developers. You monitor it. If it's colored, use mechanical treatment devices to chemicals, to remove it to the max extent possible. We're not going to ask them to spend $500,000 on a $1 million general project, but do something as much as you can within reason. It's this type of thing that maybe one of you all do understand. I don't understand how to do it. So I would propose that we ask for engineering help, if we can find a qualified engineer that we can afford and who's available. With this federal money flowing, most engineers are covered up.
What would be the cost on an engineer or something like this? You're asking just to get an estimate.
Oh, last I checked, we was paying around $175, $200 an hour. And that includes their travel time.
Is that the way they would be paid
Yeah,
by the job and the
an
amount of
hourly
hours?
rate. And we've got a deal with an engineer, and I don't recall the engineer's name, the engineer in Greenville to review plans. And we've got $1,000 in the budget if we do have a project. And he is informally advised that that's probably not enough. But the post-construction, tell them we need, we're gonna take 2 years to do it, we will do it, we're gonna take 2 years. Any questions on that? Minimum control measure 6 is pollution prevention, good housekeeping. That involves the road superintendent. We've had 2 inspections in the past 6 weeks, one from the EPA and one from PDA. The EPA inspectors, they seem to be young kids fresh out of college, but they were in charge of inspecting the program. The highway department, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we met with Mr. Jones, TDAC inspector, and he will cooperate. I've got to get him what he needs to do, and I think he'll cooperate. And training's a big thing. They want people who's working in the urbanized area to know what they can do to minimize pollution of the waters, like the inspector was saying, when you're mowing, turn the chute to where the discharge is not going into the stream or the ditch. I don't know how they're gonna do that, but that's what he said. So. But there's several things the road superintendent has to do, and he's indicated he will cooperate. Next is an enforcement response plan. We do have a plan right now. Most of you know it, but the plan authorizes the stormwater manager to, get violations. If people's not doing what they're supposed to, give a notice violation, a warning letter, written or verbal. And if they don't cooperate, you can assess a civil penalty of $50,000 to $5,000 a day. No, we've never had to do that in the county. Not had any projects, so. But I hadn't been in Mount Carmel either, just one oil spill, and that's all we've had to do there. The monitoring program, as I got next to the bottom, stormwater monitoring program. We do monitor those streams. I do both, take samples, take them to the water treatment plant in Mount Carmel. And they analyze it, tell me how the E-coli counts, and I also do a visual assessment. Required to do each stream one time every 5 years. And that's all of the NOIs. Are there any questions on it?
Mr. Bennett, I think you do an awesome job.
Well,
I called,
got one more.
well, I've got a manager doing some work for me.
All right.
I hate to leave a good group of people, but it's $200 an hour. What he's doing, so.
Don't blame me.
And I'll tell you, this
I
man will,
apologize for being late.
you're fine. You weren't late. This man will answer your phone calls and return the calls. He's good to work with. Don't hesitate to reach out to him. I do quite often.
Yes, sir.
It's good seeing you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Document is a permanent stormwater management program. Yeah, I got the wrong. That's supposed to be our implementation plan. I gotta retitle that. I pasted the copy, didn't change the name of it. It's a permanent stormwater implementation plan, is what that should say. And, a little discussion, and then we go down to the bottom and got some milestones that will provide TDEC that we'll take this long, this is why we're gonna take long, and this is what we're doing, try to develop a budget, retain, request funding, and obtain funding, hopefully by June of next year, and then with professional guidance and citizen, draft the changes and get them approved and implemented. That's what it says.
We have plumbing issues, Mr. Kisser.
But, yeah, I hear. Any questions on that? Well, in the past, they have, the environmental committee has referred this to the full commission for approval before the mayor signs. To me, it's an administrative thing. It's you all's guidance. You want to submit it, and so is it all right that's out there drafted with the changes I've got made, changing the title of that document.
Do you have any thoughts on that? Is the committee good with the way Mr. Fisher has presented?
Have we went through the full commission in the past, right?
You have in the past, yes, sir.
If there's no opposition to it, would the committee entertain a motion to submit the resolution to take it before the full commission for approval?
You know, you'll be asking for approval and give them our authority to sign it.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, do I have a second? Got a motion made by Commissioner Britton, got a second by Commissioner Maddox. Any discussion?
And exactly, sorry to say this, but what does that motion need to say, Mr. Fisher?
Approval of the NOI and the implementation plan, and authorizing the mayor to sign and submit it to TDEC.
Is that your motion, Mr. Britton?
Is there any cost associated with this part of it?
No, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there is cost, you know, but I'm on salary.
Right. I just meant with, get that turned into the state for them to approve it.
No. Okay.
Got a motion We got a second?
Who was the second?
Commissioner
Maddox.
Hawkins. Okay. Any discussion on the motion?
How long does it take once you submit it to TDEC that it's approved by the state?
In the past, it's ran about 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
They'll be getting them from, I think there's right at 100 MS4s. And, you know, if you were the first reviewed, or if we were the first reviewed, probably get it in a month. But if you're near the back of the pack, and, I generally wait to give it to the mayor to sign till late in the due date. We want to get it there in time, but there's no need to be in the first and they review.
Right. Okay. Guess we're ready to vote on the motion. All in favor of the motion as presented, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Likewise. The motion carried.
So we'll get a resolution together, Commissioner Barrett, and have you sponsor it, have you listed